Okay, let's look at how people run their numbers in terms of what they expect when they purchase a house. They say, okay, it's gonna be 900,000, and they think they only gonna pay that 900,000. That's it. Whereas that's not the case. Let's look at what is really gonna happen. What's going to happen is that you need to cough up the transfer costs, the bond registration costs. If the property is more than 900,000, and then you have to pay the transfer duty for SARS, and then in some instances you still have to even pay for the deposit. So all in all, you ended up have to cough up about 154,000 rand out of your own pocket. So even if you want to go and buy a property the traditional way, you still have to make sure that you make some saving to cater for all these costs, because they're gonna be there. And then imagine you have signed the offer to purchase out of excitement that you have received the bond from the bank, not knowing that you still have to pay all these costs. And you know that if you breach that agreement or the offer to purchase, you might be liable to pay some penalties if you don't really know what you're doing. And then let's look as well, when you're now renting, you bought a property, you say you want to rent it out. Let's say you're gonna be getting a rent of 12,000 and you're happy, and then say, okay, I'll be only paying a bond of 8,120, and then you think you're gonna be making a positive cash flow of 3.8 thousand, whereas that's not the case. Sometimes, if you are staying in the sectional title, you still have to pay the levies, of which you can pay them a huge amount. Sometimes they even come up with these special levies whereby they say we need to make maintenance, and then this month you have to, or this year you have to pay so much, and they don't have control over. But you just imagine if you're now the property investor, you develop your own sectional title or complex, and then that's where you can be able to apply whatever that you want to do. And then the other thing that people forgot is that they still have to pay rates and taxes. Most of the people, this one, yeah, they might eliminate because they will be managing the property by themselves. But how can you say you want to be free so that you can travel wherever you want to go and then have your time with your family if you still have to manage the properties? Give this to the letting agent to manage the property for you. They charge you 10% of whatever rent that you're getting. So if you consider that, and then you still have to have the maintenance, because most of the people, what they do is that they don't save for the maintenance of properties. And then they think, okay, I'm just receiving rent and then I'm just gonna eat that money. Whereas if ever anything happens here, and then you have to, let's say the pipe is leaking somewhere, you have to find the money to go and replace that. If there's, okay, and then the insurance, I think also left out the insurance here, which people don't also, they don't include. The insurance for your house, it doesn't matter whether you're renting out, it's still your property. You have to have the insurance with that. So we ended up not making any money. So we have to be careful. We need to learn to invest, not to speculate. And one thing to remember is that you make money when you buy, not after. Okay, now let's run the numbers the correct way that you'll be learning from today. What we do here is that we begin with the end in mind. So what do I mean by that is that when you buy the property, because we don't buy these new properties, you can only buy the nice looking property on auction. But on the listed like Property 24 and all that, we don't buy those properties as property investors. If you really want to make money, we buy distressed properties, houses that are neglected, just like the one that is here on the picture. There's no one here. You can see the grass is neglected. So you begin with the end in mind. You just look at the market value for this property by looking at the properties in the surrounding area. How much do they cost? For this one here, it costs about 1.35 million. This is the property that one of my students is currently busy with. And you determine, because I mentioned that you have to pay yourself first. So you're saying the profit on this property are 115%. You can go as high 20, 15 up to 30 or 14, depending on how you're going to be able to negotiate. So you determine your profit from the word go. And then the bond registration costs, you know, that's an app that we call Uber, not to Uber for the taxis, but Uber for transfer costs and all that. It will give you the figures as to how much the bond registration cost, the total transfer cost, how much they're gonna be. So you do those calculations, it will tell you. And then you go and determine, or you can bring your contractor to look at the property to determine how much it's gonna cost to do some refurb. For this one here, it's not gonna be that much. It's gonna cost about 90,000 because they will need to just fix that garage door and then the cupboards inside and do some painting and then also the fence. And then you need to consider what you call the holding cost. The holding cost is that once you have purchased the property, while you are busy refurbing it, you still have to pay for the bond, you have to pay for the rates, you have to pay for the insurance, electricity and water and insurance. So all those costs, you multiply them by 6 months, because we allow in 3 months to do the refurb and then 3 months when you are now putting the property on market. And then also you need to consider that when you're now selling the property, you need to pay the estate agent fee. So that money must be there because it's money that you have to come out of your own pocket. So if you look, for example, you're taking 5% out of this one here, and then this property at the end, we need to buy it for that amount. So start with the end in mind, consider all your costs that you're gonna incur, and then subtract from that amount that you'll sell the property for, and then it will give you the amount in which you have to buy this property. So once you have seen the estate agent and all that, this is the offer that you'll submit to the estate agent. Okay, then let's look at why most of the people fail. Okay, they don't have mentors. And then they don't even have a plan. It's like a vessel that is moving without a captain. It doesn't have any destination. There's no strategic plan. They lack knowledge. Because yeah, most of us, I'm sure from today, you will say you have learned something. Because without this knowledge, then that's why we have been buying properties the way we have been buying properties. And then also we make some poor decisions because we are informed by the people that even they don't know what they're talking about. Imagine your friend is telling you that that property is cheap, whereas it doesn't even have a property, you know. And then we'll also use some incorrect investment strategies. Some other people, when they start, they simply want to buy to let properties, whereas it's going to take time for them to be able to invest, you know. Okay. And then, yeah, we do listen to wrong people. What is more important is that you see when you enroll for the mentorship, and then we'll show you exactly how do you do your market research when it comes to property. Because even if you're now going to negotiate for the price, you need to know what you're talking about. Because we have the website that is called it's not ours, it's a Lightstone Property. That website is like your Bible when you're a property investor, because it will give you all information when it comes to anything that has to do with property. And then we lack patience. We want to be rich overnight. Whereas in property, you have to be really patient because yeah, it does take time. And then don't use your emotions, but do the calculations as we have done. Don't try to do everything by yourselves. You've got a contractor, don't try to appoint your uncle who doesn't know how to do the construction. Go to the professional, use the accountants, go to the bond originators to assist you to get your pre-approval certificates and all that, rather than calling all the banks and wasting your time and your data. We spoke about these properties, and then I ask you, which one would you buy? Let me see on the comments here whether you did respond to that. Let me see. Okay, which property would you buy between the two? Just type in here first on the chat. Would you buy A or B? Okay. Okay, yeah, someone has learned something now. I was going for B. That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, let's now look at the numbers and then see. Let's see this on A. That's where the traditional way of investing in property will do. We'll just go and buy that property for that 2.4 million. But what happens is that this is the price that you'll pay, that's advertised, or the asking price, which is about 2.4 million. But the actual fact is that when you now go and get the bond from the bank, the effective purchase price will go up by, say, maybe 10%. That's what you'll be paying. And then from there, the red line is showing the time frame where you'll be paying your bond, which will be more or less 20, 30, depending on whatever that you want to do. Others will even say they're gonna pay it fast within 10 years. But as I mentioned, we don't do that. If it's 10, 20, we can even go for 30, it's fine, because we're simply gonna be asking for that money every now and then. So what happens is that here on the green line, it's a value of the property. As you can see, it takes time, almost about 5 years for it to be able to be on top of this effective purchase price. And then at that point, that's when you can now start to saying, I'm going to be applying for refinancing. But if you look at that refinance, it's just going to be a small amount of money that you'll be able to get out of that property, depending how is the area and all that. So it can appreciate even better than that. But let's look now at the distressed property that we mentioned. For this one, yeah, we didn't include all the costs, but to say the purchase price is 615, and then we do the refurb cost, which is about 200, and then once it's completed, we'll have spent about 850,000. But immediately, once this property is completed, its value, it will increase almost direct proportional to A. But for this one here, we have just been conservative, then saying it will be just about maybe 1.8. But just look at the amount that you will have generated here. From there, you go to the bank to say, this property I've spent 850, and then now it's costing about 1.8. So in actual fact is that you will be having about an excess of about 1 million rand that you can refinance on this property. And with that money, you can take it and buy it more properties. Let's say, for example, you have this 1 million rand. And then you say, the best way to do, if you want to do the rental properties, you say, I'll go to a township and then buy those properties for 70,000 rand, that they cost 70,000 rand. And you know that if you are using the bank, you only have to pay the deposit of about how much? 10%. Or you can decide to say, okay, I'm gonna pay the 10,000 rand. Imagine if you paying 10,000 for each property, how many properties can you be able to buy out of those properties? But let's go to the urban. Let's say you go and say, I'm gonna be buying like properties that are costing about 600,000. All you need there is a deposit of about how much? 60,000. Out of that 1 million, how many properties can you be able to buy? That's how you grow your portfolio. You have to be creative with everything. So the other thing is to look at the market. As you can see that when it comes to property, we have about 6.5 million residential properties, which is costing about 5 trillion rand. So property, there is money there. And then when you look at it in terms of the segment that they have, about almost 15% is for the sectional title, because this information will assist you to see where do you have to really go and invest. You can see that here, the freehold, that's where most people they buy. So you would like to invest in that. And then sectional title as well. That's where people they invest. But here, you will be going for people that are earning a lot, like the upper notch, all those people that like your CEOs and all that. Those are the people who will be staying in the estates. So you wouldn't really be wanting to invest that while you're still starting. But once you are now have experience, have more money, and then you can venture into that. You go and develop an estate, and then you sell properties there. And then in terms of the provinces, you can see that in Joburg, that's where most of the residential properties are. So if you want to invest more, you can go to Joburg or you can go to Cape Town, and then KZN is also doing well, followed by the Eastern Cape. So you have to look where you need to invest, because you need to know where the money is, you know. So it is vital, or it's very important to make sure that you do your own research before you go and invest. Even if you are running any business, do your research or your homework first. And then let's look in terms of the average or the age of the people that are buying more properties. Let's look at, for example, in Gauteng. You can see the blue one. People that are buying properties, they are between the age of 25 and 35. So this must tell you in your mind that, okay, what type of properties I have to buy, that I have to invest in, that these people, they're gonna be able to buy. If you realize is that most of like the professionals, like young professionals, they like secure properties, you know, like your sectional title. They wouldn't really go and buy the freestanding properties, you know. So you have to think about that. So you need to know your target market before you go even invest. Let's look in terms of popularity when it comes to bedrooms. You can say that your one bedrooms, I also don't like the one bedroom, because we also like to have people come to visit you. And then with this, it's like you don't like people to come and visit you. So I'd rather go for 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms are good for young professionals. And then 3 bedrooms are those now we are earning maybe more than 500, 600,000 per annum. So you need to consider all that when you are now, even if you are developing your properties, you need to take this into consideration. And then let's look at where we can source your deals or properties. We look at distressed sellers. Distressed sellers, we include those who are facing financial difficulties, like those who their properties are being repossessed and all that. Those who are divorcing because they don't want anything to do with each other. So they want everything that has to do with them to be sold. People that are migrating. And then we have other ones that are called accidental landlords. Accidental landlord is like a child, maybe the parents passed away and then he's got a property, but he's staying overseas. He doesn't want to have this property. And then you can be able to negotiate with those, or they don't know what to do with the property. So they are called accidental landlords. And then we have disease estates, those if the owners have passed on, and then you can be able to negotiate and then buy these properties from the disease estate agents. And then when you drive around, now going forward, you need to even change the way that you drive. You don't have to drive the same way all the time. You need to know your neighborhood. Look at the properties that are neglected, and then go to Livestone to get information about those properties and try to purchase them. Look for all properties that are being sold. You can also look even in terms, when you look on Property 24, you will see the property that is listed or said that it requires a TLC, tender loving care. Those are the properties we need to buy, because there we can be able to negotiate. Those are empty properties. Those are the properties that we want. We don't want the properties, almost 90% of those properties listed on Property 24 private auction, or private property, because those properties are not for us. We're not going to be able to make any money because they are being sold on the market value. Whereas we want to buy below market value so that we can also sell just slightly below market value so that our property can go a little bit faster. And then creative way of funding our properties. The first option is still goes to the banks. We use other people's money there. People don't know what they're gonna do with their money. We go and then we use their money. And then sometimes if the bank gives you 90% of the bond, and then you can go and look for the bridging loan just to pay for that 10%. And then your personal loans, your revolving loans, use that money to buy properties. credit card. If you want to, even tomorrow, phone your banks. If you want to now really start to invest in property, ask your bank, increase my personal loan, increase my credit card limit. Your personal loan, one thing you need to know about it is you're not gonna pay it if you haven't used the money. So like your revolving loan, the money will simply be there. You can only be paying for it once you have used it. Even the credit card, same thing. Overdraft, increase it so that that money you can use it for the transfer fees. If they require 10%, you just pay out of that, and then knowing that after 6 months you'll be able to sell that property, you pay back the bank its money. And then you can also talk to your family and friends that they assist you in terms of funding. Then crowdfunding, you can work together. The joint venture, you find a partner like you can work with. And then Stokvel. Stokvel is now something that we need to look at, because with Stokvel, and then that's where you can be able to even go further, because you know that if you're doing something alone here, you can move faster, but if you are doing it together, you can move in further. So, and then also look for angel investors. I'm trying to move fast here because of the time. Okay, so as a property investor, you need to have your mastermind team, because you can't do everything by yourself. The first person that you need is your mentor, that's going to hold you by hand and then show you what are the tricks, what you need to do, what you cannot do. And then you need to have your bond originator. The bond originator, you approach them, then they will just apply for bond to all the banks here in South Africa on your behalf. You don't have to pay them a cent. They save you time. So you need to look for the bond originators if you want the pre-approval certificate or pre-approval of the bond from the banks. And then they will take your application and then send it to all the banks. And then once the result comes, and then you can be able to choose whichever that you see is giving you the good interest rates. Then you need an attorney, transferring attorney or whatever that you're going to work with, because this one, they can also help you. If you're buying a property, you can just take your offer to purchase to them. They review it and see whether does it have good terms and conditions. And then the estate agents, these are very important people, because if you create that relationship with them, whenever you want a property, if you have developed that good relationship with them, you tell them, okay, if you find me these distressed properties, just tell me, just let me be the first one to know about them. What I will do, you'll get your commission from the first when I'm purchasing it. And then once I've refurbed it and selling it, I'm still going to bring it to you. So you'll have like double commission. Once you tell them that, every time they find properties of this nature, depending on what you want to invest in, they will tell you, because they know that they're going to gain a lot from you. And then you need to have a relationship with letting agents as well. The letting agents, they will be managing your properties. But at the same time, your letting agents can be able to tell you if any owner among those that they're managing their properties is not doing well, and then they can tell you so that you can be able to approach that owner and negotiate to buy their properties. And then you need a professional and experienced contractor that will be able to use to go, when you go and inspect the house, they will tell you the estimates. And then when you're doing the refurb, you appoint them to do the work. And then you need accountant, maybe when you're now doing the returns for SARS. And then architects, they are very important, because sometimes some properties you don't have to do much. You just look at the property, they just play with the painting, and then when you paint the color, the property, it looks new, very nice, and then you can cost it. Because some of the properties you don't have to do that much, because you're not going to be staying in that property. Just make sure that a person that is buying can be able to stay in it, but it's not your property. In such a way that you put maples and all that, because we don't buy properties to sell to those high-end people. We buy properties to sell to the middle class and below. That's where you will make money, because those properties for high-end, property from more than 700,000, just know that there are few people that will be able to buy those properties. Whereas if the property is below 700,000, there are almost 100% of the people that can be able to buy property will be able to buy those properties. And then you need to have an insurance broker, because once you purchase a property, you need to have that insurance. And then you can be able also to negotiate your rates when you combine everything, your house, your content, your car, and then those people will be able to assist you. As time goes by, if you are buying properties for long term, like buy to let or multi-lets, and then you need to cover those properties, and then you make sure that you buy them under a trust. But those are the information for today. And then we also need to look at the structures that we can use when you're buying properties. The first one, this one is good and it's easy to use if you are still working. For example, if you go to the bank, say you want to buy a property, as long as you can afford it, they just request your pay slip, your bank 3 months bank statement, and then they check your affordability if you afford, and then you can buy the property. But with the company you're going to need it as time goes by. So when you start, you can use the combination of these two. Personally, you buy the property, you flip it, and then the profit, you put it in your company, so that whenever now you're buying the second property using your name, you take money from the company to buy that, come back with a profit, up until you can be able to buy properties under your company. Because for a company, at least when you go and buy the property using your company, and then the bank will look at the financials. I'm not talking about 3 months bank statement there. They're looking for like maybe 2 or 3 years financial. So you need to start opening or registering that company so that in 3 years to come, you can be able to use it to buy properties. And then trust, as I've mentioned, depending on your situation, but while you're still starting, to maintain a trust is more expensive compared to the company, because this one here, you need to appoint someone who's going to manage it and all that. So rather look at it once you have now starting with the big plans, developments, long-term developments or long-term strategies. Then these are the books that I recommend you to read. They will help you a lot. Especially this first one here, real estate investing gone bad. Just learn about the mistakes people that they have done there. And then this one here as well. But also this one and the book on negotiating real estate. This one will help you because you have to be able to negotiate with even the estate agent or the owners and all that. This book will help you a lot. And then also this one here, how to flip a house. It's also gonna assist you a lot. So I recommend that you have to download the Kindle app, so that you can buy books from Amazon and then have those ebooks. Okay, the power of having mentor. Look, even the richest people like Richard Benson, he also is saying mentorship is the key to unlock each of our entrepreneurship spirits. I myself have benefited from many mentors throughout my life. As I mentioned, that you need to have different mentors for different businesses. You can't have a property mentor if you want to run flights. And then even when you look now at the captain of Maboko, he also has his personal mentor or coach, Mr. Eric. And then here you can see Richard Benson with his mentor, Freddie. And then, did you even know that even Jay-Z, the rapper, he's got a mentor. His rapper is Warren Buffett. I also have my mentor for this business that I'm running that we're talking about here now. It's Shelly Mentor. She's also my mentor there. But I do have there another mentor for now buying properties. Okay, just want you to watch this video. Just gonna try and shorten it because we're running out of time.
So, Coach, how strong is Westview this year? A lot stronger than we are. Already written Friday night down as a loss, bro? Well, not if I know we could beat them. Come here, bro. You too, Jeremy. What, am I in trouble now? Not yet. I want to see you do the death crawl again, except I want to see your absolute best. What, you only go to the 30? I think you can go to the 50. The 50? I can go to the 50 if nobody's on my back. I think you can do it with Jeremy on your back. But even if you can, I want you to promise me you're going to do your best. All right. Your best. Okay. You going to give me your best? I'm going to give you my best. All right, one more thing. I want you to do a blindfold. Why? Because I want you giving up at a certain point when you can go further. Get down. Jeremy, get on his back. Just get tight hold, Jeremy. All right. Let's go, Brock. Keep your knees off the ground. Just your hands and feet. There you go. A little bit left. A little bit left. There you go. Show me good effort. That way, Brock. Keep coming. There you go. Good start. A little bit left. A little bit left. There you go, Brock. Good strength. That's it, Brock. That's it. 20 yet? Forget the 20. You give me your best. You keep going. That's it. Now, don't stop, Brock. You got more in you than that. Hey, this wrestling thing. You got to keep moving. Let's keep moving. Let's go. Don't quit till you got nothing left. There you go. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. You keep driving. Keep your knees off the ground. Keep driving it. Very best. Your very best. Your very best. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep going. Don't quit on me. Keep going. Keep driving it. Keep your knees off the ground. That's it. Your very best. Don't quit on me. Your very best. Keep driving. Keep driving. There you go. There you go. That's it. You keep driving. Keep your knees off the ground. Keep driving it. Don't quit till you got nothing left. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep going. I want everything you got. Come on. Keep going. It hurts. Don't quit on me. Your very best. Keep driving. Keep driving. There you go. There you go. I know what it says. Straight. Then you negotiate with your buddy to find more.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. I was trying to read your. Oh my goodness. Okay. There's some over here.
Quit till you got nothing left. There you go. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. You keep driving. Keep your knees off the ground. Keep driving it. Very best. Your very best. Your very best. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep going. Don't quit on me. Keep going. Keep driving. Keep your knees off the ground. That's it. Your very best. Don't quit on me. Your very best. Keep driving. Keep driving. There you go. There you go. That's it. You keep driving. Keep your knees off the ground. Keep driving it. Don't quit till you got nothing left. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep going. I want everything you got. Come on. Keep going. It hurts. Don't quit on me. Your very best. Keep driving. Keep driving. There you go. There you go. I know what it says. Then you negotiate with your buddy to find more strength, but don't you give up on me, Brock. You keep going. You hear me? You keep going. You're doing good. You keep going. Do not quit on me. You keep going. It hurts. I know it hurts. You keep going. You keep going. It's all hard from here. 30 more steps. Keep going, Brock. Come on. Keep going. And let it burn. It's all hard. You keep going, Brock. Come on. Come on. Keep going. You promised me your best. Your best. Don't stop. Keep going. It's not too hard. You keep going. Come on, Brock. Give me more. Give me more. Keep going. 20 more steps. 20 more. Keep going, Brock. Give me your best. Don't quit. No. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Brock Kelly, you don't quit. Keep going. Keep going. No, Brock Kelly, you don't quit on me. No, you keep going. You keep going. No, Brock. 10 more steps. 10 more. 10 more. 10 more. Keep going. Don't quit. Give me your heart. You Sarmiento. You are the most influential player on this team. If you walk around defeated, so will they. Don't tell me you can't give me more than what I've been seeing. You just carried a 140-pound man across this whole field in your arms. Brock, I need you. God's gifted you with the ability of leadership. Don't waste it. Sir, can I count on you? Yes. Sir? What is it, Jerry? Oil 160.
Okay, I'm just gonna skip here. So I'm sure you have learned a lot from that video. Is that, if I can just summarize it, if you are working with someone that's gonna push you, hold you by hand to make sure that whatever dream that you want to achieve, they will assist you. They will push you even when you feel like you can't do it. But most importantly, you must have that drive that drives you. You must be committed, and then you'll be able to achieve whatever that you desire. So most importantly is that you need to have clarity, because without clarity, then you won't go anywhere. You need to know exactly what you want. As we were talking when we started, that you need to determine exactly how much you want to earn a month that will set you free. What kind of property, or in the house or the car that you want to drive. Be specific. Have those SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, and time-bound. Because if you are not specific, even God won't be able to answer. Because when you look at the universe, when it responds to whatever that you have requested. So you need to have clarity. But on top of that, you need to have knowledge. Today is just 2 hours. There's too much to learn. There are many books to read. There are many trainings that you need to attend. Make sure you do that. And then once we have clarity and knowledge, the opportunities, they will come. But if you don't have clarity and the knowledge, you won't even notice those opportunities. But even importantly is that when these opportunities come with your knowledge, and then you must take action. Without action, then that knowledge and clarity, it's useless. And then you have to be consistent with whatever that you have planned to do. Make sure that you execute your plan and be perseverance in whatever that you do so that you can be successful. And then let's look at your current situation. Assess it and then think about it. And is it where you really want to be? Are you happy with whatever that you're doing? Are you happy with your current salary? Are you happy with your lifestyle, the car that you drive? Are you happy with the money that you support your family with? Are you happy with the fact that you are not able to take the vacations that you want to take? Are you happy with what you're really earning? Are you happy with this 9 to 5 hour, exchanging your hours or your time for money? And then how long are you going to be doing that? Ask yourself those questions. Do you really have enough time to spend with your family and the loved ones? Do you even have time for yourself? Or you have to work throughout the year and then only rest about 10 days. During that 10 days, you don't even rest. You have to make sure that you fix everything at home, so you never really have rest. Are you financially free? Can you be able to do whatever that you want, anytime that you want? What do you want to be remembered for? Do you want to be like your grandfathers or grandparents, of which some of them you can't even remember their name? But just imagine if you can start your own company that you'll be able to live or transfer to the generations to come. They'll be able to remember you. So, what are you doing? To change all of the above? That's the answer you have to ask yourself. So I want you to imagine something, that you are now able to have these properties, like the number that we spoke about, that 154. You have that those flats, you are renting them out. Then those flats can be able to buy you a top billing property. You know, those properties that come up from that show, Top Billing, that used to play on SABC3. Imagine be able to buy the most expensive car that you ever thought of. Eating healthy, because nowadays even the food that we eat now is causing us health problems. We have cancer and all that. But imagine if you can be able to eat healthy, you go to the gym, you have your personal trainer and all that. Imagine you take your kids to most expensive school where you never thought you could take them. You fly with Emirates first class, and ever going to Dubai, wherever, Italy, wherever you want to go. You don't have a problem with that. You stay in nice hotels. You stay in hotels and, you know, the apartments where the president stays. Just imagine that. And it can become true through property. With property, you can achieve that. But one thing to remember is that you become what you think about most of the time. So if you don't have a goal or a plan that you manifest all the time, and then it will never come to you, I want you to go and then also download this book, The Secret. The Secret. If you read that book, and then you will understand what we're talking about here. But whatever dream that you dream of, you have to work for it. You can manifest and all that unless you go and play lottery and then you can have that money. But you have to work towards achieving your dreams. So everything is up to you. So for those that have tried to invest in property, failed, and then some of you have tried to find a mentor, but it's difficult to find them because we don't have plenty of them. And some of you have planned to start investing in property. And some of you have tried to find mentors, but the fees, you consider them as too high, but there's no such. Because if you consider what you can lose if you are in a bad deal, it's more than what you'll pay for a mentor and the advice that you'll receive from them. You know, and you want to achieve your financial goals. You want to have a second income stream. Your time is now. You need to take action like now. And remember, you're 100% responsible for your success. You can't blame anyone. You can't blame government. You can't complain about the economy and all that. You have to get up and do something. Most of the people there are, and they're making money. They are millionaires. Don't you want to be counted in? So if you take action, we have different property mentorship programs that you have. But for tonight, the one that I'm talking about, it's gonna be